there, and welcome to the Film Geeks podcast. I'm Michael DeGregorio from thecharlottegeeks.com.
And I'm Cameron Moore.
Good to be with you today. Today we're going to cover a couple of different things. We're going to give you a sort of review of the new Disney film Maleficent, starring Angelina Jolie. And we're also going to have an in-depth discussion of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which was Cameron's favorite film of 2010.
Absolutely.
All right, but up first we're going to talk about Maleficent.
Well, well. I shall bestow a gift on the child. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she will fall into a sleep like death.
It's the new Disney film starring Angelina Jolie. It's rated PG, and I have to say that I think Disney had to twist some arms to get a PG rating on this thing. It's a little, well, it's a little dark in places. It's not quite as dark as the trailers led you to believe, but it is definitely, it's aimed at kids. I mean, there's a lot of the silly slapstick humor. You know, there's three little fairies that kind of raise Sleeping Beauty, and they are way over the top. I mean, it's just, you know, they're cute and they're fun and funny in small doses, but they push it a little bit. And at times, I think if to be honest with you, I think I would worry about a child's safety in their hands, because I think in real life the kid would have died you know, when it was a toddler, if these three were really raising it. But the film plays pretty good. I mean, it's short. It's only 92 minutes, so it's fast-paced. It doesn't wear out its welcome. The visuals are great. It's a beautifully looking film. The effects are great. I mean, this is a...
I would expect nothing less from Disney, though.
Exactly. And I mean, this was a $200 million movie, which I think that was like $2 million a minute, I think, when it breaks down to actual running time. It is the Angelina Jolie show, though. If you don't like Angelina Jolie, don't even waste your time. I did the review for the CharlotteGeeks.com, and I said in the review that some people might say, well, I hate Angelina Jolie, and she's playing the bad guy, so I can go to the movie and just enjoy hating her all the more. But that's not really how this plays out. Disney has completely retooled, reimagined Sleeping Beauty in every way that it can be done. I think they're kind of following the Wicked textbook, sort of, a little bit, where they kind of
rewrite.
Right, they give you a little backstory on the, you know, try to describe why the witch turned evil, and that's what they did. You know, in Wicked, you kind of, I guess you went to high school with her or something, so it's not quite that involved. But when the story begins, Maleficent is like 13 or 14 or something like that. She's young. She's a fairy, got the big wings, and these sequences are really, really good. Like they got a lot of point of view shots of her flying. Like you see it from her eyes as she's moving around, and it's really spectacular looking. Then, as always happens in these things, you have to have the twist where she is betrayed by a human, and she loses her wings. And this turns her heart to stone, which I guess I could see how that would happen, because they're almost like she almost can feel them being taken from her, and it's like that loss, it just haunts her the rest of her life. And she turns not evil so much as just
vindictive
and bent on revenge, I guess would be a way to put it. And it's funny because I think if anybody else had done this movie, if another studio had come in and did this film, the Disney purists would be up in arms, because they are completely revamping Sleeping Beauty. I mean, nothing about it that you remember, if you remember Sleeping Beauty, if you ever saw Sleeping Beauty, nothing about it is the same. There's the same characters, but all the pieces are in a different order. and they change up a lot of those. You know, like Prince Charming, for instance, is barely in it. It still sticks with the whole the kiss of a true love will awaken her, but to be honest with you, the Sleeping Beauty section of the film is only like 10 minutes. I mean, you know, it's a lot of pre that and a little bit after that, but the Sleeping Beauty section of the film is not very long.
Well, I can't imagine it being any other way. I mean, if you're going to make a movie about where the title character is the bad guy of the first movie, you'd have to pretty much revamp the entire thing anyway, wouldn't you?
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that people are kind of annoyed about is they're revamping it, but she never really gets that evil. Like, she was a scary character in the original Sleeping Beauty cartoon. I mean, you know, kids were terrified of her.
Yeah, the dragon and everything.
Exactly, and the dragon is in the movie. I mean, you've seen it in the trailers. It's in the trailers.
Yeah.
The dragon's in the movie, but I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to spoil anything because it is a very beautiful movie to watch. Like I said, it's only 92 minutes. That's when the credits start. It's 97 minutes with credits, but most people get up and leave. You don't have to stay. There's nothing in the credits that you have to stay for. It's short. It goes by awful fast. It doesn't wear out its welcome, and it is the Angelina Jolie show. It's her story. It's her film. She is on film, on camera, on screen every minute. But at no time does she act like she's above the material. You know, she doesn't phone this performance in. This is a fully invested performance. She is the best thing about the movie, and as I said earlier, if you don't like her, don't even bother. It's in IMAX 3D, and it's in 3D as well, and the IMAX 3D version is, I always recommend that to people. I like the immersive experience of IMAX. But if you're on a budget, you don't have to spring for the 3D. It's not necessary to enjoy this movie. And if we're going on a 10 scale, you know, a 1 to 10 scale, I'd give it a 7, maybe.
Okay, it's pretty solid.
It's a good matinee show to watch, and if you got the kids, take the kids to see it. I think they will enjoy it. If they're really small, you might want to watch it yourself first and see how what your kids' tolerances are for this kind of thing. But it's a pretty good film. I enjoyed it, and it was tracking to do like 45 million, and it did 100 and, or no, not 100. It did 70 million. I'm thinking about X-Men. I'm sorry, I'm having a flashback to the X-Men last week. It did 70 million, so it's definitely a successful film. But we'll see how it stands the test of time. I think in 10 years' time, people are going to be talking about Sleeping Beauty still, not Maleficent, but we'll see.
We'll see how it holds up in the coming weeks also.
Yeah, it's facing some very stiff competition this week and next week, especially next week with How to Train Your Dragon 2, and I think that may be the end of Maleficent's run in theaters, but it's a good film, and I recommend it with reservations. All right, we're going to talk about Scott Pilgrim, and this is not really a review so much as just a discussion about the film. It came out in 2010. It's an Edgar Wright movie based on the comic book, and to be honest with you, when it came out, I didn't realize it was based on a comic book. I just loved Edgar Wright. I love his movies, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the trailer just caught my attention. But it was your favorite movie of the year. You've told me that several times.
Mr. Pilgrim! I'm Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend.
Wait! We're fighting over Ramona?
Didn't you get my email explaining the situation?
I skimmed it. That was epic. I dislike you, capiche?
Tell it to the cleaning lady on Monday.
What?
Because you'll be dust by Monday. Because you'll be pulverized in 2 seconds. And the cleaning lady, she cleans up dust. She dusts.
The first time, I'd never heard of the comic. I still have never read the comic. I saw the trailer from the booth, just walking by, and I went, I'm going to watch that movie, and I'm going to enjoy that movie. And I remember right from the get-go, right from the opening title screen of the movie, knowing that I was going to love that movie.
A great shot of them standing on the carpet playing, and he starts backing
yeah,
away.
It starts backing away with the music.
Awesome.
I'm not a fan of even Beck music. Beck does the soundtrack to the movie. I'm not afraid of Beck, but not afraid.
I'm not afraid of Beck.
I'm not afraid of him either. Not a huge fan of Beck, but the soundtrack was perfect with the movie. And honestly, I feel like the movie was made for me. It was a perfect blend of. It's a comic, it's a video game, it's not quite real life, but it is.
Right, yeah. It's kind of a hyper-real.
Super hyper-surrealist with the onomatopoeias popping up on the screen. And
what's the opening crawl at the beginning of the movie, Once Upon a Time or something?
Oh yeah, Once Upon a Time in the far-off land of Toronto, Canada. Scott Pilgrim was dating a high schooler, and you know, that sets up the tone for the movie for you. I mean, even the Universal logo at the beginning of the movie, how it's done 8-bit with chip tunes. It all sets up the tone of the movie. You know, if you go into the movie and you don't know what you're watching, you know 30 seconds into the movie exactly what you're getting into. And you know, it's not the kind of movie for everybody. It's
absolutely.
You know,
based on its box office reception, I would say that it's not for everybody. And it's funny because I'm not I said I'm an Edgar Wright fanatic, but I'm not a video game guy. I mean, I know video games. I played Atari when I was little. That's kind of where my my education with video games kind of ends. And I see off camera them looking at me like I just said something weird.
You did. You said Atari.
I mean, Pac-Man, Fever. But even that being the case, I kind of knew, just from in passing, I know a little about games here and there. But I knew there was a lot of video game tropes in the movie, you know, little stuff like that. Like when he powers up and he gets another life or whatever.
References. But, he goes to the bathroom and there's a bathroom bar as he uses the bathroom to let you know when he's done.
Right, yeah.
But it's not just that, it's just video game sounds pop in throughout. A lot of the Sonic rings are used. A lot of the Mario getting coins are used in the movie. They use the Zelda cave, I don't know what it's called, the fairy cave music a lot in the movie, especially when it has to do with Ramona.
Okay,
and so there's a lot of that just thrown in, you know, just for people who are fans that
and that's the thing too.
Stuff.
That's what I kind of enjoy about the movie, is that it is made with a lot of love for video games and for the culture, but it's not, or at least to me anyway, it wasn't an insular film where you have to know all of the references to enjoy it. It was it's just a fun, absurdist type of comedy.
Right, exactly.
And it's if you know video games and you're familiar with that kind of culture, you get a lot more out of it, you know. But it's Edgar Wright. He's a good director in that he fills the frames with information. He fills it with jokes, and well, not even jokes so much, but just I don't know. It's an attitude the way the movie is made. It's like just it's just we're having fun and we're having a good time making this movie. We're having a good time on screen, and so it's a fun movie to watch. I saw it like 4 times, I think, in the theater, which is crazy. Like we work at theaters now, and that was the other thing when you said he saw it from the booth. For anybody that doesn't know what that means, we both were projectionists, and you kind of watch movies from the projection room, from the booth, a lot of times when you're
you get your interest piqued.
Exactly. You that's the great trailer basically for us, is watching movies on opening weekend, just kind of seeing bits and pieces of them here and there, and we figure if we want to go see them again. But anyway, so I knew going in, just based on Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and the series Spaced, the cult series, that he was his first real job in terms of like something that he got on the air. It was like a television series, like a sitcom in Britain that ran for 2 years, 2 seasons. 7 episodes a season, by the way. So there's only
14 episodes.
There's 14 episodes in existence of Spaced, but it's a brilliant show. So I knew I knew I liked his sensibilities. So when I saw Scott Pilgrim, I like I can't, the guy's name is escaping. Scott Pilgrim.
Michael Cera?
Michael Cera.
Yeah.
I knew Michael Cera from Arrested Development, and so I think he was perfect as Scott Pilgrim. I mean, he had the attitude down. He had the, and I don't even know. I say he was perfect for it, as if I know Scott Pilgrim, and he's just famous. Yeah.
I don't.
But it just seemed to work.
Yeah,
it just seemed to work. He had this real, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great.
Yeah.
I would definitely face off against 7 Evil X's for Ramona.
I mean, just the pacing of the movie, especially at the beginning when all the slow stuff and the character development, or when you're figuring out who's who and what's what in the movie, how everything seems to be done from Scott's perspective. We only follow Scott until Ramona really comes into the picture.
Yeah,
that's when you get these in the movie. You get these hard cuts from one thing to another, and you don't know anything that happened in the middle,
right?
Because Scott wasn't paying attention during any of it.
Yeah, that's
so
true. Yeah.
He asks, they're rehearsing. He asks, what are we doing again? And next thing we know, they're walking to the party that they were discussing.
He zoned out,
right? He completely zoned out. And you get some development for Scott, how he is, and you move the movie along.
Yeah, and
until
I know people
all the
like
action start. Until all the action, kicks off. But,
it was
music,
it was great.
action, video games. It's right up my alley, man.
And there's weird, absurdist stuff like when Ramona takes the shortcut through his dreams or his mind or whatever.
Yeah, that I know it never really expands on in the movie, but that's pretty much it.
Right, yeah.
She has, that's apparently an inherent ability she has by taking shortcuts through people's subconscious minds.
That nobody treats as weird or, strange at all.
In fact, the only person who ever seems to think anything in the movie is absurd at all is her Scott's sister.
Scott's sister, yeah.
When the very, very first fight with the Evil X starts, they're at the concert and he comes in and she's just like, what?
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, oh yeah, there's a fight. we're gonna watch the fight now.
That was the other thing that was really great, is that the fights, it plays them for laughs. Everything is played for humor.
Absolutely.
But it treats it like dead serious. And I don't mean dead serious as in it gets serious at all, but it's like everybody's on, this is happening. When it's time to fight, it's time to fight, and it doesn't blow anybody's mind, doesn't surprise anybody. These fights happen, and they get progressively harder. Each person he fights, each Evil X he fights gets harder and harder. And that's where it's great. His first fight is against Captain America, Chris Evans.
Second, but yeah.
Oh, that's the second fight. Okay. Who was the first?
The Indian guy.
Oh yeah. That's right. Okay, yeah. With the that was right. The Battle of the Bands thing. And but there's a lot. All of the X's are entertaining. They're very entertaining. They're Jason Schwartz.
Jason Schwartzman.
Schwartzman. Jesus.
Jason Schwartzman.
We're film geeks and we do not do our homework at all. So it builds up all the way through the film till the end, and obviously that's how all movies work. They build to the end, but each fight gets harder and harder. And it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I own the DVD. I've watched the Blu-ray 100 times. It's one of those. It's like a comfort food for me. I'm just in the mood for put it on. But it's Edgar Wright's, I think, one of his best films, and I've liked everything he's done. And I was kind of sad when he left Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because basically, from my own, I don't know much about that character either, but all my interest in that movie was him.
Was
Edgar Wright. So.
Has anybody picked up the helm for that?
Not yet. They keep offering it to different directors, and they keep turning it down.
No.
But I'm sure that'll work itself out. But Anyway, if you have not seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and based on tracking numbers and box office returns, you probably haven't. But then again, the audience for this, it may be someone who has seen the movie, but if you haven't seen it, it's definitely one to check out. It is worth it.
It'll probably be unlike anything you've pretty much seen.
Exactly. It was your favorite film of 2010.
Definitely.
It's my second favorite film. My first favorite film is Inception, but which we'll talk about at another time. But yeah, I really, really loved it. And so that's Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And it's about time to start wrapping things up here with what's coming up next week. Tom Cruise in Doug Liman's The Edge of Tomorrow. Actually, it's just Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's, It's just Edge of Tomorrow. It looks really good. It's a sci-fi action type of film that it's been getting really good reviews, actually. That and also the tearjerker, The Fault in Our Stars, which I think is going to be a battle between those two for what's going to be number one. My money's on The Fault in Our Stars, actually, just because I think that's the audience that's going to come out in droves this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll hold up, though. Looks like it'll be really front-loaded.
That's possible. I guess we'll find out come Monday. But that about does it for this week. But we'd like to thank Scott Clark Toyota for letting us shoot here. It's been great, and they got a lot of good deals going on down there right now.
They got 2014 Camry. You could lease it for $189 a month.
And you can get a 2014 Corolla for 0% financing for 36 months. So come on down to Scott Clark Toyota at 13,000 East Independence Boulevard in Matthews. And give them a call at 704-535-1972 or find them on the web.
ScottClarkToyota.com.
You can find us on the web as well at our website, which you can find, just follow the links below us there. You can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/FilmGeeks384, or find us on Twitter at FilmGeeks384, and leave us some comments, leave us some feedback. Let us know if you like what you're seeing, something you don't like, if you agree with us, you don't agree with us. And also,
unless you don't like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, we don't want to hear that. Yeah, Cameron will come to your house and argue. I would also have to give this one thing. I did a trivia question on my Facebook page last week when I was watching Weird Science, and I put out the question, who was the Avenger that made his screen debut in Weird Science? And Alyssa got it right first, and Brittany came in and followed it up. Yes, big hand clap for Brittany and Alyssa. It was Robert Downey Jr. for those at home going, who is it? But anyway, that about does it for us here. Thanks for joining us here today, and we'll see you next time.